Hello and welcome. You're watching Parliament News on DD India. First up, news from the Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha on Tuesday sent two bills, including the proposed law to increase the minimum age of marriage for women to 21 years from 18, to standing committees amid continuous protests by opposition parties over a number of issues which marred its proceedings and cut it short. The House also sent the bill to amend the Chartered Accountants Act, the Cost and Works Accountants Act and the Company Secretaries Act to the Departmental Standing Committee. Amid a din, Union Minister Smriti Irani introduced the Prohibition of Child Marriage Amendment Bill 2021 that seeks to increase the legal minimum age for women to marry to 21 years, bringing it at par with that of men. Irani said the bill seeks to override all existing laws, including any custom, usage or practice governing the parties in relation to marriage. Various opposition parties had demanded that the bill be sent to the parliamentary panel for detailed scrutiny, a demand to which the government agreed. But continuous protests from opposition members ensured that the proceedings were conducted amid ruckus before the House was adjourned soon after it approved the decision to send the bills to respective standing committees. Soon after the House assembled for the day at 11 a.m., opposition members from different political parties, including Congress, DMK and the TMC, stormed into the well and began protesting, displaying placards. While some of the opposition members were demanding sacking of Union Minister for Home Affairs Ajay Mishra, and his son Ashish Mishra is one of the accused in the Lakhimpur Kheri violence, the Shiva Sena was demanding action in the matter pertaining to the alleged insult to Chhatrapati Shivaji in Karnataka. Carrying placards, DMK members were demanding that Tamil Nadu be exempted from NEET exam conducted for admissions to medical and dental colleges. Amid the din, the House took up several questions during Question Up. While replying to a question of a BJP member, Rural Development Minister Giriraj Singh hit out at the opposition members, alleging that they have lowered the dignity of the House with their protests. He appreciated Speaker Om Birla for his patience in running the proceedings of the House amid the opposition protests. I want to thank you, Speaker, for your patience. The opposition has lowered the dignity of the House. Those who talk about democracy after going out of the House, they are undermining democracy here, he said. Amid the protest, the Speaker announced the launch of a mobile application for members and asked them to download it on their devices to see live telecasts of Parliament proceedings, view parliamentary papers, written questions, answers, bulletins and other important documents. Birla also asked them to encourage people of their respective constituencies to download the mobile application as well, so that they can show their conduct to the people of their constituencies. The Speaker repeatedly urged the protesting opposition members to go back to their respective seats and let the House function properly, saying, I am requesting you for the last day. I have a lot of expectations from you for running the House proceedings. You should make efforts to ensure that the House functions. Maintain the decorum of the House on every issue, whatever issue you want to raise. I will give adequate time and opportunity, he said. Go back to your seats, raise all the questions and issues pertaining to your respective constituencies. If you want, I will run the House. We should try to see how we can maintain the dignity of the House and fulfill people's expectations and aspirations, he added. He adjourned the proceedings of the House till 2 p.m. as the opposition refused to relent. As the House reassembled at 2 p.m., the opposition continued their protests and the proceedings were adjourned for the day after the bills were sent to standing committees. The Prohibition of Child Marriage Amendment Bill 21, which seeks to fix 21 years as a uniform age of marriage for women and men, was introduced in the Lok Sabha on Tuesday, with Minister Smriti Irani terming the move as a decisive step in the country's history. The introduction of the bill was opposed by some members who contended that the move infringed upon several personal laws in violation of fundamental rights. They demanded that it be referred to a parliamentary panel for greater scrutiny. Soon after the introduction of the bill, Irani, the Women and Child Development Minister, urged the chair to refer it to a standing committee. Now, the bill seeks to increase the legal age for women to marry to 21 years, bringing it at par with those of men. It seeks to amend several personal laws in the Indian Christian Marriage Act, the Parsi Marriage and Divorce Act, the Muslim Personal Shariat Application Act, the Special Marriage Act, the Hindu Marriage Act and the Foreign Marriage Act as well. Opposition members hit out at the government for the introduction of the bill in a hurry and without any consultation with stakeholders. Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary said the manner in which this bill was introduced was reflective of the nefarious intentions of the government of not holding any consultations. Congress Deputy Leader in the Lok Sabha, Gaurav Gogoi, said the provisions of the bill were contrary to the Law Commission recommendations that suggested making 18 years as the uniform marriageable age for men and women. IUML member E.T. Mohammad Bashir said the bill was unwanted, unconstitutional and violative of Article 25 of the Constitution. This bill is an attack on the personal laws and fundamental rights, he said. AIMIM leader Asaduddin Owaisi termed the bill a retrograde. At 18 years, a girl can choose Prime Minister, have live-in relationship, have sexual relations, but you are denying her right to marriage, Owaisi said. NCP member Supriya Sule and DMK member Kani Mori also pitched for referring the bill to a standing committee. RSP member N.K. Primachandran said the government should spell out how it plans to make the law enforceable. Responding to the opposition, Irani said, had the opposition members heard her patiently, they would have known that the government was ready to refer the bill to the standing committee. She urged the chair to refer it to the standing committee. As a democracy, we are 75 years late in providing equal rights to men and women to enter into matrimony, she said. Irani said 7% of girls aged between 15 and 18 years were found to be pregnant and nearly 23% of the girls were married below the age of 18 years. It's also important to bring down the incidence of teenage pregnancies, which are not only harmful for women's overall health, but also result in more miscarriages and stillbirths, she said in the statement of objects and reasons for the bill. She said there were also imperatives for lowering maternal mortality rate and infant mortality rate, as well as improvement of nutrition levels and sex ratio at birth, as these would promote possibilities of responsible parenthood for both father and mother, making them more capable of taking better care of their children. The amendments to the bill will become effective 2 years from the date it receives President's assent, so as to provide sufficient opportunity to one and all in the collective efforts to inclusive growth and to make effective other provisions immediately. The Chartered Accountants, the Cost and Works Accountants and the Company Secretaries Amendment Bill 2021 was on Tuesday referred to a standing committee for more scrutiny by the Lok Sabha. Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Arjun Ram Meghwal moved the proposal for referring the bill to the panel. He said Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman had requested that it be referred to the standing committee. He further said the standing committee should submit its report in the coming budget session. Sitharaman had introduced the bill in the lower house on December 17. The bill seeks to strengthen disciplinary mechanisms in place at the respective institutes, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the Institute of Cost Accountants of India and the Institute of Company Secretaries of India as well. Now, strengthening the disciplinary mechanisms, providing provision for time-bound disposal of cases against the members of the three institutes, addressing the conflict of interest between the institute's administrative and disciplinary arms, and enhancing overall accountability are the bill's key objectives. Chartered accountants, cost accountants and company secretaries come under the Chartered Accountants Act, the Cost and Works Accountants Act and the Company Secretaries Act 1980 respectively. On account of changes in the country's economic and corporate environment, it has become necessary to amend the acts. Now, further, recent corporate events have put the profession of chartered accountancy under a considerable scrutiny, according to the statement of objects and reasons of the bill. In recent years, the role of certain chartered accountants has come under the scanner following various corporate frauds coming to light. The amendments to the acts have been proposed on the basis of recommendations made by a high-power committee that was set up by the Corporate Affairs Ministry to examine the existing provisions in the acts for dealing with the cases of misconduct in the three professional institutes. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the Institute of Cost Accountants of India and the Institute of Company Secretaries of India are the three professional institutes, and they also have the powers to take disciplinary action against their respective members. The recommendations were aimed at strengthening the existing mechanism and ensure speedy disposal of the disciplinary cases. Now the issue, and moving on to the Rajya Sabha now, the issue of suspension of 12 opposition MPs and opposition demand for sacking the Union Minister Ajay Mishra Teni, whose son is the main accused in Lakhimpur KD case, rocked the Rajya Sabha for the second day today, leading to disruption of the 0 hour and question hour. Now, soon after the laying of papers, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu informed the House that the Business Advisory Committee of the Rajya Sabha has allocated 3 hours for consideration and passing of the Election Laws Amendment Bill 2021. The decision of the BAC was opposed by Leader of the Opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge. To this, the Chairman said, "Don't accept it, House accepts it," unquote. Now, soon after, members of the opposition, including Leader of the Opposition, Mallikarjun Kharge, raised the issue of suspension of opposition MPs and the opposition demand for sacking Union Minister Ajay Mishra Teni. Amid the uproar, the Chairman said that he has received several notices from the member, but that he has not admitted them. "There are 267 notices that I have not admitted. Let the House transact legislative business," he said. With the opposition uproar continuing, the Chairman adjourned the House till 2 p.m. The House reassembled at 2 p.m. Derek O'Brien, raising a point of order, said the listing of the Election Laws Amendment Bill without giving members the opportunity to study it and move resolutions referring to it a select committee is undemocratic. Quoting Rule 69 of the Rules of Procedure of the Rajya Sabha, the said members needed to be given 2 days notice. Responding to the member, Deputy Chairman Harivansh said the Chairman, using his discretion, has decided to list the bill at short notice. He disallowed opposition MPs to raise the issue of suspension of opposition MPs, saying that it is not on the agenda. Thereafter, Arun Sharma of the Congress, raising a point of order, said that he is a member of the BAC, but he did not receive any intimation of the meeting where a decision was taken to list the Election Laws Amendment Bill 2021. Amidst opposition protests, Deputy Chairman Harivansh asked Law Minister Kiren Rijiju to move the Election Laws Amendment Bill 2021 for consideration of the House. Simultaneously, many opposition members, Tiruchi Siva and Derek O'Brien, moved an amendment to refer the bill to a select committee of the Rajya Sabha. Speaking on the bill, Minister Rijiju appealed to the opposition members to support the bill. Sushil Modi of the BJP, referring to the opposition protests against the bill, said that opposition members were part of the standing committee that recommended linking voter ID card with Aadhaar card had supported this bill. Modi said that contrary to the claims of the opposition, the bill does not make it mandatory for a voter to quote his Aadhaar card if he does not have one. In the absence of Aadhaar card, his enrollment in voters list cannot be denied. He alleged that some opposition parties were opposing the bill as they feel that the bogus names which helped them win elections will be deleted if this bill is passed. Speaking on the bill, a Navanitha Krishnan of the ADMK said the bill will curb bogus voting and double entry of voters. "I welcome this bill. It is in the right direction," he said. Ram Gopal Yadav of SP said that he was opposing this bill, calling it a draconian bill. He said, "Poor people who do not have Aadhaar card will be excluded. I oppose this bill." Ramnath Thakur of the JDU said the bill will help curb practice of fake voters list. Kanak Madela Ravindra Kumar of TDP supported the bill, terming it as an effort in the right direction. Ami Yagnik of the Congress opposed the bill. She called it a violation of the right of privacy granted by the Constitution of India. It will disenfranchise many voters, she said. V. Sivadasan of CPIM said the bill violates right of voting citizens in a democracy. It's an infringement of their democratic rights, he said. Responding to the discussion on the bill, Law Minister Kiren Rijiju said there was no basis for the protest by the opposition. He said the bill removes a lacuna in the present system. Under this bill, any Indian above 18 years can get their name included in voters list. There was a lacuna. If you didn't register by January 1, then many were excluded. The youth will get 4 occasions in a year to register themselves with the EC, the minister said. Following the minister's reply, the chair put the Election Laws Amendment Bill 2021 and the amendments moved by V. Sivadasan, Derek O'Brien and Tiruchi Siva to refer the bill to a select committee to vote by the House. The chair declined to accept the demand by V. Shivadasan, Derek O'Brien and Tiruchi Shiva for a division on their amendment, as the House was not in order. Thereafter, the House passed the Election Laws Amendment Bill 2021 and rejected the amendments moved by V. Shivadasan, Derek O'Brien and Tiruchi Shiva to refer the bill to a select committee. Members of the opposition staged a walkout from the House to protest the chair's decision not to accept their demand for a division. The bill, which has already been passed by Lok Sabha, has now received the assent of Parliament. The Election Laws Bill seeks to allow electoral registration officers to seek the Aadhaar number of people who want to register as voters for the purpose of establishing their identity. It also seeks to allow the electoral registration officers to ask for Aadhaar number from persons already included in the electoral roll for the purposes of authentication of entries in electoral roll and to identify registration of name of the same person in electoral roll of more than one constituency or more than once in the same constituency. Bhupendra Yadav of the BJP raised the issue of a member of the opposition flinging the rule book at Secretary General P.C. Modi. Speaking on the issue, Leader of the House Piyush Goyal said the action by opposition member was not just the insult of Parliament but the insult of the entire country. The way the member threw the rule book at the Secretary General's table is not just an insult of Parliament, but it's an insult to the country, Mr. Goyal said. Attacking opposition members of disrupting the House over the suspension of opposition MPs, he said that it was unfortunate that suspended members have not expressed any regret over their decision. On the opposition members, quoting the incidents in 2010 when suspension of opposition MPs was revoked, Piyush Goyal said that during that time, the then Leader of Opposition Arun Jaitley as well as the suspended MPs had to express regret over the behavior of the opposition MPs, and only after that the suspension was revoked. He lamented that in recent times disruption of the House by the opposition has become the norm. Thereafter, the Deputy Chair Harivansh asked Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to move the Appropriation Number 5 bill for consideration and return to the Lok Sabha. Speaking on the bill, M. Thambidurai of the ADMK said the government should fulfill its promises made to the people. Rakesh Sinha of the BJP said under the leadership of PM Narendra Modi, the present government has ensured that welfare schemes reach their intended beneficiaries. Attacking the previous government, he said, earlier welfare schemes were limited to announcements and papers. He said that the NDA government has taken many steps to benefit the farmers, including announcing subsidies on fertilizers. Speaking on the bill, Ayodhya Rami Reddy of the YSR Congress party appealed to the government to help states enable them to complete their welfare projects. Sushil Modi of the BJP said, contrary to opposition claims, inflation in the country is under control. Inflation is within control in India, he said. He also said that the government has taken several steps to keep the pandemic under control. We have conquered the COVID pandemic, he said. Arun Singh of BJP said NDA government has undertaken several steps to benefit the poor and underprivileged sections of society. He said during the BJP rule, 9 crore poor people have got gas connection. The GST collections are used in building houses for the poor, he said. He also said that NDA government has kept the inflation in control, whereas during UPA rule, it was in double digits. On opposition walkout, he said the opposition has staged a walkout as they have nothing to talk about in terms of achievements of their governments. Members of opposition parties are staging a walkout because they cannot talk on real issues and are not able to tell people what steps they took for welfare of the people in 6 decades, he said. Syed Zafar Islam of BJP said NDA government had inherited an economy which was in a bad situation. Minister Subudhi of the BJP, referring to continuous disruption of the House by the opposition, said the opposition members had shown a ghastly face of Indian democracy. At a time when confidence in democracy needs to be increased, the opposition members with their actions are proving that they are against the idea, he said. Shiv Pratap Shukla of the BJP criticized the behavior of the opposition MPs in the House earlier in the day. Today they crossed all lines, they threw the pious rule book, he said. He said behavior of the opposition members shows their uneasiness over rising popularity of the Prime Minister. Shukla praised the work done in UP by Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Uttar Pradesh is on the route to becoming Uttam Pradesh, he said. Sonal Mansingh of the BJP praised the initiative of Amrit Mahotsav Minister started by PM Narendra Modi. She called it a laudable exercise to revisit India's glorious heritage. It's an excellent exercise to assess various initiatives by various government ministries, she said. Ashok Vajpayee of the BJP also supported the Appropriation Number 5 Bill 2021. The acting chair, Sasmit Patra of the BJD, said that discussion will continue tomorrow. Thereafter, the chair asked for laying of special mentions. After special mentions, the acting chairman, referring to the incidents in the House earlier in the day, said Derek O'Brien, floor leader of the TMC, resorted to grave misconduct by throwing the rule book at the chair. Derek O'Brien resorted to grave misconduct by throwing the rule book at the chair. He set a bad example as floor leader of his party. The act of Derek O'Brien is highly condemnable, the chair said. Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs, Prahlad Joshi, then moved a resolution for suspension of Derek O'Brien for the rest of the session. The resolution was passed in the House by voice vote. Derek O'Brien stands suspended from the House for the rest of the session, the chair said. Thereafter, the House will adjourn for the day. That's a wrap on Parliament News. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.